Queen Elizabeth I. Queen Elizabeth I was a Protestant. She re-established the Church of England as the official church in England. Everyone had to attend their local church, and there were laws about the type of religious services and the prayers which could be said. But Elizabeth did not ask about people's real beliefs. She succeeded in finding a balance between the views of Catholics and the more extreme Protestants. In this way, she avoided any serious religious conflict within England. Elizabeth became one of the most popular monarchs in English history, particularly after 1588, when the English defeated the Spanish Armada, a large fleet of ships, which had been sent by Spain to conquer England and restore Catholicism. The Reformation in Scotland and Mary, Queen of Scots. Scotland had also been strongly influenced by Protestant ideas. In 1560, the predominantly Protestant Scottish Parliament abolished the authority of the Pope in Scotland, and Roman Catholic religious services became illegal. A Protestant Church of Scotland with an elected leadership was established, but unlike in England, this was not a state church. The Queen of Scotland, Mary Stuart, often now called Mary, Queen of Scots, was a Catholic. She was only a week old when her father died and she became queen. Much of her childhood was spent in France. When she returned to Scotland, she was the center of a power struggle between different groups. When her husband was murdered, Mary was suspected of involvement and fled to England. She gave her throne to her Protestant son, James VI of Scotland. Mary was Elizabeth's first cousin and hoped that Elizabeth might help her, but Elizabeth suspected Mary of wanting to take over the English throne and kept her as a prisoner for 20 years. Mary was eventually executed, accused of plotting against Elizabeth I. Exploration, poetry, and drama. The Elizabethan period in England was a time of growing patriotism, a feeling of pride in being English. English explorers sought new trade routes and tried to expand British trade into the Spanish colonies in the Americas. Sir Francis Drake, one of the commanders in the defeat of the Spanish Armada, was one of the founders of England's naval tradition. His ship, the Golden Hind, was one of the first to sail right around or circumnavigate the world. In Elizabeth I's time, English settlers first began to colonize the eastern coast of America. This colonization, particularly by people who disagreed with the religious view of the next two kings, greatly increased in the next century. The Elizabethan period is also remembered for the richness of its poetry and drama, especially the plays and poems of William Shakespeare. Let's talk a bit more about William Shakespeare. So he lived between 1564 and 1616. He was born in Stratford-upon-Avon in England and was a playwright and actor and wrote many poems and plays. His most famous plays include A Midsummer's Night Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth, and Romeo and Juliet. He also dramatized significant events from the past, but he did not focus solely on kings and queens. He was one of the first to portray ordinary Englishmen and women. Shakespeare had a great influence in the English language and invented many words that are still common today. Lines from his plays and poems, which are often still quoted, include "Once more unto the breach," Henry V. "To be or not to be," from Hamlet. "A rose by any other name," Romeo and Juliet. "All the world's a stage," As You Like It. And "The Darling Buds of May," which is from Sonnet 18, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day? Many people regard Shakespeare as the greatest playwright of all time. His plays and poems are still performed and studied in Britain and other countries today. The Globe Theatre in London is a modern copy of the theatres in which his plays were first performed.